Hi, and welcome back to Karina's Sewing Room. I promised some of you a tutorial on the not so bombastic bag in English, so here we are. I've got all my pattern pieces cut out, and I'm using grey vinyl and waterproof canvas for the lining. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with pattern piece A, which is this one. And I need one more pattern piece, which is C, and I need zipper. So there you can see my machine. And what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna cut the zipper, the length. Oh, I need my zipper scissor. I thought I was prepared. I cut the zipper a bit longer than it needs to be. Not much, just a tiny bit longer. And I need lighter to cinch the edge of the zipper. So it doesn't fray. And I'm going to use some double-sided tape. I have 1/8 of an inch wide double-sided tape, and it's perfect for zippers. Like that, and I place the zipper right side together with the exterior. And we're going to sew with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I have that marked on my stitch plate. I don't have my zipper foot on, so I'm not sure I can get I can get almost 3/8 of an inch. Like that. And I'm gonna flip it up. There's no lining to this pocket. You can add lining, but then if you add lining, you do add more bulk to the final seam. So the pattern says not to use lining for this pocket. Now I'm going to do a top stitch. And I increase my stitch length when I'm doing a top stitch. And I'm stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the fold in the exterior fabric. And now I'm going to take this pattern piece C, and I am going to use double-sided tape again. I'm going to place that on the right sides together with the zipper tape. And we're going to sew with as close as 3/8 of an inch seam allowance as I can get. And as I'm trying to be consistent with the seam allowance, I go slow. Trim those threads, flip this up. Oh, I did get a lot closer on this one than the other one. So you'll see more of the zipper tape on the bottom than on the top. But it's gonna be okay. Top stitching along the edge. And it looks like this. So you can see that you see a lot more of the zipper tape on the bottom than on the top. I could have sewn this seam once more, but then I had to unpick the top stitching, and I don't want to do that, but it's gonna be okay. So now we're gonna find pattern piece B, I think. Yes, pattern piece B, and we're gonna place that right sides together with pattern piece A and C, and we're gonna sew with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna put a few clips in. So now it looks like this. I'm gonna put a label on it. I didn't do embroidery on any of these pieces, and should I put it here or there? I think I'm gonna put this one down here. So again, I'm using a small piece of double-sided tape just to keep it in place. You could also attach any bag tags before you get started. I just forgot. And I'm gonna sew around. I'm not gonna backstitch. No, I don't want it there. Because I don't want the seam, I don't want the threads to be shown on the back side. So I'm placing it here on pattern piece B. Just gonna make sure that it's straight. Now I'm gonna sew around it. And I'm not backstitching. And one thing I did wrong, I didn't increase the stitch length, and I can't do it now that I've started. I should have had a longer stitch length, but okay, at least it's consistent all the way around, and it's gonna be fine. It's fine. And I'm going back into the first stitch I made, and one more stitch, and I stop with the needle down, pull out, and trim the threads And now I'm going to pull the threads to the back side. And I can tie them off. And the reason I chose to do this on pattern piece B is because pattern piece B will not be a part of the pocket. I'm just going to put a piece of tape over it. It's double-sided tape, but I'm not going to peel off the backing because I just wanted to secure those threads. So we're not going to top stitch here yet. We're going to wait. Now we need more zipper tape for the top pocket. We're going to cinch the edges so it doesn't fray. You can see that it's fraying here. So now I want to take some double-sided tape again. Put it on the right side of the zipper. And I'm placing the zipper right side down on the exterior fabric along both the pattern pieces, well, the whole pattern piece. And then we need pattern piece H, which is the lining for this pocket. And again, I'm going to use double-sided tape because I have double-sided tape. You don't need double-sided tape. And let's check how many times can I say double-sided tape in one video. I guess a few. So put this panel right sides together with the lining, and we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch from the zipper. No, not from the zipper, from the edge. Well, it's the edge of the zipper. But with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Making sure this seam allowance is laying the right way. Now we can flip this over, and now we're going to top stitch along the zipper and down this pattern piece B. So I'm folding it over. I'm using vinyl and waterproof canvas, so I can't iron it. If you are using fabric that you can iron, I highly recommend you do that. Now we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. like this. And now we're gonna top stitch, oops, down this side. Making sure the seam allowance is laid the correct way. So now the front panel looks like this. And now we need some more double-sided tape. You can use clips, you don't need it. I have it, so I use it. So now I'm gonna fold this in half, and I'm gonna mark the center of the zipper. And I'm not gonna cut a notch in the zipper. I'm gonna find a silver marking pen. I never cut notches in the zipper because it will destroy the zipper tape. So that's the middle of my zipper tape. And now I need pattern piece D, which is the top. And on this one, I can cut a small notch. I'm removing the backing of the zipper tape, and I'm placing the notch on the middle of the zipper tape, and I'm maneuvering the curve along the zipper tape. Didn't want to lay flat. I'm stronger than the fabric, so I'm gonna make it lay flat. And I'm walking I'm walking the panel D from the middle of the zipper tape and off to the side, and then I jump to the side and walk the other way. So just gonna get rid of a bump. And now we need the lining part of pattern piece D, and we're gonna do the same there. So I'm putting double-sided tape on the zipper. And right side together, I'm gonna find the center. Make a small notch, and I'm gonna place that in the center. And I'm gonna remove this part and just work on the upper part because I need to put the zipper pulls on afterwards. So it's no problem separating the zipper. I just have to put the zipper pull on twice. So like this, and now I'm gonna sew 3/8 of an inch from the edge. And I'm feeling where my zipper is, making sure that it's laying flat. And now you may say that I have wasted a lot of double-sided tape because I'm going to remove it. And this is strong double-sided tape, so I can pull it off. And do the same on this side because I'm going to cut down the seam allowance on the exterior fabric and the lining. But I'm not going to cut the zipper tape. But by using that double-sided tape, I made sure everything was laying flat while I was sewing around the curve. So I'm just going to trim down the seam allowance on the exterior and the lining, not the zipper tape. You should never cut into your zipper tape lengthwise. So now I have just the zipper tape in the seam allowance. I'm going to fold this wrong sides together, and we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch from the folded edge. I'm going to go up to a top stitching stitch length. And I'm pulling on the zipper tape as I go to make sure that it lays the way I want it to lay. And I'm going to baste the lining and the exterior together on the straight edge. And when I'm basting, I'm sewing 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Like that. And now we can put the zipper pulls on. First, I need to find some zipper pulls. I'm almost out of zipper pulls, so I can't wait to get some more. I'm gonna use my trusted zipper jig just to make it easier. I'm putting the zipper pull on the jig, so that's my third hand, and I'm gonna put the zipper pull on this zipper first, the short one, because I need to make sure that my zipper pulls are going in the same direction. I have my zipper pull upside down, so I need to put the wrong side up on the fabric. So there I got one zipper pull on. Now this is going from the same side, and I need to put it on one more time because I want the zipper pull to be in the middle. Making sure it's even, and that's not even. Was not even close to be even. Oh, that's even worse. There we go. The first thing I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna baste over the zipper, just so it won't open. And I'm gonna do that on both sides. I don't think this is a step that's written in the pattern. But it's just to secure the zipper. On the last one I made, it slipped. And I don't want that. So I'm gonna push down so it's laying like this. And I'm gonna take this pattern piece F, and the long edge is going to face the outer edge where the zipper is. And I need some clips. And where are they? Let's see. So and I'm maneuvering the fabric so I have a straight edge. And I'm gonna sew with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna go down to a construction stitch length. So now it looks like this. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. The long edge of pattern piece F on the edge of the bag. So it looks like this. Now we can put that aside and take the rest of the pattern pieces and this is my pocket piece. In the pattern you're supposed to put a zipper pocket on the back panel on the exterior. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put a slip pocket on the lining back panel. I'm just going to fold that lining piece in half and make a crease. I'm going to fold this pattern piece in half, and I'm going to sew around. And we need a turning hole. So I backstitch, jump up, and sew all the way up. And I'm gonna cut the corners so they will lie nicely when I turn it. And the easiest way is to put your finger in the corner, pinch it with your thumb, and flip it out. And I always start with the corner furthest away from the turning hole. I need to use my right hand for this. Pinch the corner and flip it through. This is not a big pocket, and my fabric is a bit stiff, but it's no problem turning the pocket, as you can see. And you can iron this. I can, as I have the right side of fabric out, I can iron this, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to use my trusted point turner that my husband made for me. Poke out those corners really good. And I'm gonna fold in the raw edges of the turning hole, and I'm gonna put a clip in there. I'm gonna roll the seam so we get it on the correct spot, and I'm gonna sew top stitch along the top edge, the folded edge on this pocket, 1/8 of an inch from folded edge. Now I'm folding it in half and making a crease so I can see the middle of the pocket. I take my lining piece that I have folded and I put the pocket on top of it. And this is a good place to add a label. So which label are we going to use on this one? I have so many beautiful. This is gonna blend in too well. We need a pocket. No, we need a label that's gonna pop out. Made with pure joy and a bit of swearing. Let's put that on the side of the pocket. Making sure the crease on the pocket lines up with the crease of the lining fabric. And I'm just holding the pocket in place while I sew around. As I'm using waterproof canvas, I don't want to use pins, and the clips I have don't reach that far. But it's a small lining piece and it's a small pocket, so there are no problem with lining it up or holding it in place. So now the inside lining, well, the back lining is done. Now we're gonna put the pattern piece E, the back piece, exterior with the wrong side up, put a lining piece with the wrong side down. Because we're going to finish this bag with binding, this is the way we do it. And I'm going to baste around this to make it one piece of fabric. I need to start cleaning up here. Oops. So now I'm just basting 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Like that. And now we flip it around and we take the remaining 2 pattern pieces and sew them together with the on the exterior side, right sides together. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Stay put there. Like this. And now we're going to join the front and the back. And we're putting it right sides together and making sure, see, making sure these two seams match up. So the first thing I do is making sure they match up, and I put 2 clips there, and then I jump over to the other side and match up the seams there. And put 2 clips there. And now I'm just placing some clips in the middle. So we're just going to sew along the top edge. And now I'm not using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance because we're going to finish this with binding. And I don't want this seam to show. Now comes the scary part. Did we match up the seams good? And yeah, almost. I didn't catch the fabric. I didn't catch the fabric. Well, I did catch the fabric, but that seam is showing. And it didn't match perfectly, so I'm gonna unpick and sew up again, just at the end. And this seam is so close to the edge that it really doesn't matter if I unpick. It's going to be covered with the binding, so it's going to be okay. And yes, sometimes I do unpick. Believe it or not. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I do. I unpicked some seams. Don't we all? I'm just gonna trim down the seam. No, the exterior. Just a tiny bit. No, not the exterior, the lining. Jeez, Karina. Concentrate on the words you're gonna use. So, matching up those seams again. And let's sew that again. Let's have a look again and see. Yeah, that's much better. And now we're gonna do some binding. And I have 2 strips here. One is for the binding and one is for the crossbody strap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna iron this. Well, I'm not actually gonna iron it. I'm gonna do the lazy ironing, and I'm folding it and I'm dragging it over the edge of the table. And see, there is a crease. And that's all I need. So I'm pinching it, putting the raw edge together, dragging it over the table, And voila, it's ironed. It's almost like magic. Hmm. And I do go slow because I don't want it to fold unevenly. And I know I'm going to use almost the whole strip because I'm going to go around the uh, rounded edge too afterwards. So now I'm going to do the binding from the edge of um, pattern piece F and straight across the top. Now I'm going to sew on the edge of my binding, which is almost 3/8 of an inch. If you're using cotton fabric and regular binding, you will of course open the binding, sew across one seam like you do with bias binding, flip over and sew again. But as I'm using waterproof canvas, I can do it like this. And waterproof canvas doesn't fray. And I'm checking both sides to see that I caught the binding, and I did. I can see that I have a bit much here on this side. So I'm just going to trim it off, as this will not fray. It's no problem doing it like this. So now, and as you see here, the exterior is a bit longer than the lining, and that is because I didn't use the correct seam allowance. So that's my fault. That's not the pattern's fault. But I'm going to fold this in half, and I should have done this earlier. But I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to mark the center, and I'm going to do the same on this piece. I'm marking the center. I'm going to mark the center of the lining because I'm going to cut down the exterior because I have messed up, not the pattern. I have messed up. So I'm just going to trim away so it fits. And I am going to baste that edge so everything is nicely put together. Makes it so much easier when we're going to put the front and the back, when we're going to sew the front and the back together. Like this. Making sure I can see that center marking that I made, and I can't, so I'm gonna make it one more time. And now I match up the center markings, and I work my way around to the edge. And I put a few clips on there, and then I go to this side, mark up those edges, make sure everything lays nice and flat, and match up. And when you get bumps like this, just work with the fabric. Maneuver it. It's made to fit, so it's gonna fit. Just just move it around until it fits, because it's supposed to. So it's gonna. And then I go over to this side. Making sure those seams matches up. And you see we have a bump here too. And we're gonna work with the fabric and manipulate it until it fits. Like that, all the bumps are gone. And now we are gonna sew all the way around the curve. And I'm starting at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on pattern piece F. And when I get down, I'm gonna, when I get down to the lining, I'm gonna sew just along the edge, because we are gonna put binding on this. On here, I'm going up to 3/8 of an inch seam allowance again. Now I'm gonna take my scissor and trim off those corners that's poking out. And I'm taking the rest of the binding, and I start at the back side of the pattern piece F. Can't remember what that pattern piece is called, but it is pattern piece F. And I'm just wrapping the binding around the edge. And when I get to where I see the back side of pattern piece F, I'm just trimming off the binding. And let's sew around this once more. And I also sometimes I use an awl to hold the binding where it's supposed to be, so I don't get my fingertips that close to the needle and the foot of the machine. Because this is a strong machine. So let's flip it over and see that we caught the binding all the way around. And I did. Just gonna trim down a little bit here. And now we can put that aside and get our last pattern piece G. I fold it in half and I cut it in half. And then I'm using, well, you guessed it, double-sided tape along the middle of each piece. And we're going to fold the raw edges in towards the center. Like that. And I'm going to top stitch along each long end. And I'm going up to a top stitch length. And I think I'm out of bobbin, so that's okay. So when I'm done with one, I just continue to the next. And when I'm done with that, I cut loose the first one. And start on the other long edge of that. Cut loose the second one. And sew down the long edge of that one. And now we are going to put the D-rings on. So I make sure that the fold is towards the D-ring. And here is my second D-ring. Also making sure the fold is in towards the D-ring. I take this and I open it. I just put my finger into the zipper. And I'm opening it up and I'm pushing that connector through the edge of pattern piece F. And I do the same on the other side. Put it through the opening on pattern piece F. And now, as I know that the connectors are the same length, I'm going to measure from the edge of pattern piece F, and I'm going to measure 1 inch. I'm not sure that's if there are a measurement like that in the pattern. This is just what I figured out. There is enough room to put 1 inch outside the pattern piece. And now I'm going to sew with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And the same on this side. Now it's time to turn it the right side out. So I'm going in to that edge and I'm pulling on the D-ring. Don't be afraid to pull on the D-ring. If the D-ring doesn't last, if the D-ring can't handle you pulling on it, it's not gonna handle being used. And now we just flip the rest through. It's the best part of doing a bag with binding. It's easy to turn. Just gonna check that seam. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. And now we're going to place some rivets on this part here on pattern piece F. I'm going to massage the bag first. And get all the seams pressed out. And look at that. Beautiful inside. So now we're going to place some rivets. So I'm going to bring you along to the cutting table. No, I'm going to do it here. I have marked the center of my crossbody strap and I'm going to put double-sided tape down the center. And I'm going to fold in the raw edges towards the center. I'm doing this a bit different than I normally do because I want a two-tone strap. So I'm folding in one edge first and then I'm going to fold in the other side. I'm going back to this side and I fold this edge in. And it doesn't matter if it's not even on the center, if one side is folded more over than the other, because we're going to put excess fabric on top of it. Now I have cut this to 2 inches because I want a 1-inch crossbody strap. So I've cut this into 2 inches. Well, I cut it to 2 inches. I did cut the excess fabric smaller than 2 inches. I'm not sure how much smaller. I cut it 0.5 centimeter smaller. So you be able to see just a tiny bit of this strap on the side of the excess fabric. Now I'm taking double-sided tape again down the center of this strap. I don't have to, I can align the fabric and maneuver it as I go, but I've started using the double-sided tape, and we did have a contest. How many times can I say double-sided tape during a video?
To life, a sewing machine buzzing, taking flight, a stash of fabric, color so bright. She cuts out the pattern in the dead of night. In a YouTube tutorial, she's got the knack teaching her followers step by step. She's a member of the wolf pack. Tight-knit crew, together they create, making dreams come true. A sewing machine is a trusted friend. With every stitch, a story begins. From dresses to quilts, she's got it all. Creativity, she's ready to explore.
Now the strap is done. It's all vinyl on this side and the access on this side. So this is the right side of the strap. And I'm gonna need an adjuster so that the strap will be adjustable. I'm just gonna cut the edge so it's nice and flushed. I'm gonna fold it up and over the bar in the middle of the adjuster, and I'm gonna fold it over, and I'm gonna sew 2 lines across. And now we can attach it to the bag. So I have the bag wrong side facing up, and I'm gonna go in the D-ring on this side, make sure nothing is twisted, and I'm gonna go into the adjuster and over and through it again, making sure that nothing is twisted. And I'm gonna go around this D-ring, and I'm gonna fold it over, and I'm gonna sew 2 lines of stitching there too. And it's done. So here is the finished bum bag. I really like it. Like the colors, pocket inside, and the woven label on the side of the pocket. Perfect placement for a label. I'm wearing this from my right shoulder over to the left side of my body, and I have the zipper closing up on the top. If I were to wear this from on my left shoulder, the zippers would be at the bottom, and when you open it, it opens from the bottom, and I don't want that. The reason this is the reason it's this way when I make the bag is because I cut it with the pattern pieces right side up and the fabric wrong side up. If you were to cut it mirrored with the pattern pieces right side up and the fabric right side up, it would be correct this way from the left shoulder down to the right side. Did I explain that in a good way that you could understand? So I hope you like this video and I hope you like this pattern. I will leave a link to the pattern in the description below. And I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye!